welcome to another episode of Groovy Tuesday. My name's Paul Church from Clarity Stamp here in the UK. How is everyone today? Hopefully you can hear me. We'll just wait for it all to kick in, so I shall waffle for a little bit. Just to recap, my name's Paul Church from Clarity Stamp, and it's another episode of Groovy Tuesday here on Facebook and YouTube Live. Stuart is in the room with you today, so if you've got any questions, ask away. I'll try and pop my head up and see if I can see any questions appearing. I'm just waiting for the all clear to make sure. I think everyone can probably hear me. Just wait for a few names to just pop up in the chat. I can see we've got some viewers. Anybody want to say good morning? I'm sure I'm not on my own. There we go. Jane Telford. Good morning, Jane. Have you recovered? Good morning, Bernie, Susan. There we go. Good morning, Jill. It's lovely to see so many friendly faces. There's a lovely Josie, Tina. There you all come. Good morning, good morning. I think that's my text message. All good, Paul. Thank you, Stuart. As I said, Stuart's in the room, so in the virtual room, that is. So if you have any questions, then ask away. But we've also got the lovely design team in the room. We've got Sheila Gray. Good morning, everyone. Leslie. Oh, I missed this last week. I really did. This time last week, I was up at TV doing the fantastic new Groovy Grid starter kit designed by Josie and in conjunction with Jim in the office. Yeah, so I really did miss the Groovy Tuesday because that was my Groovy Tuesday is my sort of chill out zone for an hour, once a week, nice and easy. I say nice, it is nice and easy. If somebody at the open day said to me at the weekend, Friday or Saturday, "Oh, you must be tired working so hard," and I say, well, I don't really see it as working. Not at an event like that. Basically, I'm just crafting. And there just happens to be an audience in front of me, just like there is right now. So yeah, I mean, it's tiring. It is tiring, I'll give you that. But I don't see it as work. It's lovely to put faces to names and see people I haven't seen in a couple of years. Yeah, it was really, really enjoyable. Just to have that interaction. And it was, I mean, the venue has sort of changed so much in 2 years. They had the new ceiling done. I remember on the Friday I was demonstrating and there was a group of people in front of me and I kept looking up thinking, it's so quiet in here, where is everyone? And I spoke to Dave later in the day and he said, oh, it could be something to do with the new ceiling. Maybe it's can't say it now, but it sort of buffers off the sound. Oh dear. But it was really nice to see so many friendly faces. It really, really was. And it makes it all worthwhile. And obviously to catch up with the design team as well. I mean, I haven't seen Linda since October. Jane, I can't remember last time I saw Jane. Tina, I saw Tina last month. Dee, haven't seen for a long time. Leonie, I saw the other week. Sam, I saw a couple of months back. Lou Withers, I saw last week. But Glynis, I haven't seen since October. So it was really, really nice just to sort of like have a catch up and be in a room full of sort of experts. I mean, I didn't get a chance to walk around and have a look what they were doing. But I know from what people were saying, they were just sort of blown away by all the education. So yeah, really, really, really good weekend. So yeah, so here's to the next one. Watch this space. So I've got to stop saying so. Let's have a little bit of a recap, shall we? So last week I wasn't here, and I was up at the TV launching the brand new Groovy Grid starter kit. And if you missed that, it contained 4 beautiful new plates designed by Josie. And we called them basic, but they're not really basic. I think they're more as an introduction to beautiful grid and lace work. And there's 4 different designs. And I always kept forgetting about the beautiful designs in the middle because that's artwork in its own right. So this one here is the arch. So they all had sort of different identities. Then we have the oval. I think this is the oval. Yeah, I've got them in the wrong order. See, look, I haven't put them back properly. They should be in alphabetical order. So this is the oval. Then we move on and we look at the triangle. And then finally, we have the circle. And all of them come with the fantastic cutting guides, actual size, so you can see exactly what they can look like if you follow Josie's instructions. And it was a really, it was just fantastic, sort of just for the launch. And we had the Josie's plate mate, which we've been using over the past few weeks. And then here's a few pieces that Josie sort of designed to show how different they can look. So it's the same plate, but just depending on where you're doing the cutting. So if you're thinking, oh, I really want to give grid work or lace work, then these would be the perfect place to start that journey. You've got all you can watch, I think it's for 60 days on the Create & Craft website to go back and see what we created. And it was a real big thanks to Josie who did all the prep and everything else. So this is the circle design. And it's just lovely because you can keep it nice and small. I mean, a little bit smaller. I wonder whether it would fit in the coaster. Let me grab my coaster that we put together because I'm sure maybe with a little bit of oh, look, not far off, is it? These would be fantastic. So all you would do, you would probably just drop one of their little sections and it'd fit perfectly. Oh, there we go. That one a little bit more adapting because I'm going to jump back. Let's have a look at the arch. Arch. Yeah, I'd say you probably just want to drop one on either side on that one. That one you probably want to drop a couple. But these would be fantastic, wouldn't they? Really nice. And then we've got the triangle. So there's just a couple of variations and just pieces that Josie put together to show. And even with the picot cutting around the outside, don't forget all of those plates have a solid line. So it means that even if you're not at that stage yet of doing picot cutting, then you can really sort of make a real good start. There we go. Josie said an initial of the person you're giving it to in the center, and it would make a lovely gift. It would indeed. It really would. So that's what they sort of look like if you follow Josie's instructions. And then I thought this was lovely. Remember we did those lovely little bookmarks? Let's put it that way. So this is using them as the borders. So let me remember we did the Queen Elizabeth grid plate. So you can see these would fit perfectly. Look at that. 4 different bookmarks. Isn't that a good idea? See, it's all about just playing and seeing what you come up with. So it shows that you can extend them and turn them into borders or edges, just like we did over the previous couple of months on Groovy Tuesday. Don't forget, you can always go back and look at all the previous episodes of the Groovy Tuesdays, the Pergamano School, the Shacks with Bob. It's all there and it's all free of charge. Look at this. Isn't this lovely? A couple of pieces that Josie created that I sort of demonstrated over the various 4 hours. Time always runs away when we do Groovy on TV. It really does. See, we can make rectangles. Now this one's lovely. Using the different coloured parchment really does give a different look to it from the coloured parchment. Just embossing. No perforating. See, that's what I love about the duet grids. You get that flexibility of being able to use the different design elements separately or together. So I just wanted to showcase those from last week, because that's what I was doing this time last week. And that seems such a long time ago. It really does. Because it was, what was it? It was up at the TV with Barb on Sunday. Then Monday and Tuesday was one day special. Then it was back in the office on Wednesday. Then Thursday it was setting up for the open days. Then Friday and Saturday were the open days, and it was great. It really was. Maybe next year, if you missed out this year, maybe next year you could pop along. It's great. It really is. Right. Okay. So where are we heading today? So what we've been doing over, this is week 3 now, we've been looking at one of the past back issues of the Groovi Craft Club. This is issue 65. And if you're thinking, what's the Groovy Club all about? I'm sure Stuart will put a link up on in the chat to all the various different clubs. And the Groovy one is great because every month, over a period of 12 months, you'll receive a fantastic plate designed by the lovely Linda Williams. And then you get a project sheet, double-sided concertina, that guides you through what you can do. So we open this up and then we have a second project. So there's just so much education in there. In addition to getting the projects, the plate, you also get the newsletter from Barb. Depending on how many clubs you belong to, you get 10 or 15% off of all online purchases, or if you come to our open days or our retreats. Okay, so it's a real, and there's also the half price member sale twice a year as well. There's so much value for what you get. Okay, so Barb thought it'd be a really good idea. Let's have a look at the finished projects. That I've got the actual artwork that Linda created. And this is where the idea of the easy layout plates all started from. And because Linda created all these sections manually, so to speak. And Barb said, oh, that must have taken a while to work it all out, etc., etc. Maybe we should have some plates that gives us the sort of easy layout, containing beautiful designs as well, but obviously just giving us that framework that we can fill in with different designs. And that's when the easy layout plates were designed. We launched those last year. I think there was 3 Christmas ones, and then earlier this year there was a further 3. But what we've been doing over the past couple of weeks is we've been working through the project sheet, okay, that comes with this particular plate. And also on Sunday just gone, Josie did a fantastic step-by-step over on the Clarity Matters blog to make a Father's Day card. And it was along the same principle of sort of breaking it up into sections. Really beautiful. So if you miss that, then what you can do, you can go to the Clarity Matters blog, claritymattersblog.com, and you can you can have a look at that tutorial that Jane created. And there's a back catalogue of so many step-by-steps that the design team come up with every week. Every Sunday, 8 a.m. on the Clarity Matters blog, there's a new step-by-step project launched. Okay, so that's one of the cards that Linda created using that plate, and it takes, let's have a look, it takes a various, it breaks the elements of the design up. So you can see we've got the lovely fence, we've got the lighthouse, we've got the reeds, and we've got the lovely yacht. Okay, but what you can also do is just take the design exactly how it comes. Isn't that beautiful? It's so elegant. in the just the monochromatic look of the blues, the different shades of blues. Really, really lovely. It really is. So we've been working on this particular project, and what we've been doing is, let's bring in we've been using our plate mate from Josie, the plate mate for grids. Many of you would have purchased this in the starter kit that we just launched, or you've already got it from a previous release. And then we've been using the plate to add designs. So what we did when we broke it down initially during week 1, I'll just grab all my bits and pieces of paper. Where's that one gone? There it is. So what we did, if you didn't have this particular plate, it wasn't really an issue, because I showed you how you could take the nested squares from the normal starter kit to create the design, or if you had the Pico squares, and there was just a slight variation in size. Okay, whoops, bring that up a little bit. See, there's just a slight, I can't speak. Really can't speak today. Okay. Just a very slight variation on the sizing, but it's still workable. So it just meant that if you didn't have the Groovy Grid plate mate, maybe you do now, then there was alternatives to creating the frame. Okay. So we showed how to do that, and then we started to add in our design elements and then infill with the various different elements from the Groovy Grid plate mate. Okay. So what we're going to do today, we're going to continue to fill in these particular areas. Okay. And then we're going to do a little bit of white. What's this? What's Linda done in hers? Let's have a look. So to this point, what we've done, we're at stage number 6, where we're adding in different patterns. And I've seen on Groovy Worldwide the different concepts and ideas that people have come up with. I mean, if you don't have this little club plate, you could take any of the plates that you've got in your stash, and there'll be elements that you can use to infill into the boxes. And you become creative then, don't you? So you look at a plate. I mean, when we look at the plate from Linda, which is a complete scene, who would have thought that you could take elements and break it down to create different looks to it? Okay. So what we're going to need for this session is, let's have a look. We're going to need our plate mate with our patterns on there. We're going to need our piece of artwork we've been starting on. Then we're either going to take our black mat, A4 black mat that comes in the starter kit, okay, or if you've got a pink mat, and then we're just going to stay with the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the starter kit, and we'll do a little bit of white work as well, just to sort of slowly get us back into the groove, so to speak. So how does that sound? Does that sound like a plan? I hope so, because it's only just come together. Oh dear, oh dear. It's amazing how a week can throw you out of sync. I put everything together in one box, so I know where to find it. Apart from my essential tools, which I take with me to the studio and everything else, I then had to dig all those bits out and get everything together. So yeah, I think this is a really nice project to work on. And maybe when you look back on the website, there's a whole section of back issues. So if you're still unsure about joining the club, then basically it's like a little taster, and it's for the Groovy, it's for the stamps, it's for the stencils, and it's for the dies. And you don't have to be a member to buy to be able to buy the back issues. They're there, all available. All of last year's anyway. Obviously, we don't release this year's until later in the year. So maybe have a look. Sure, it'll pop the link up, I'm sure, of all the back issues for the stamp, the stencil, the dies, and the Groovy, because there's so much beautiful artwork and inspiration in all of those back issues. There really is. Back issues makes them sound as if like, oh, they're done and dusted, but they're not. I mean, Barbara showcased that on yesterday. I got it. Yesterday in the Shack with the beautiful fossils. I mean, that stamp that went back all those years as a past issue of the new design club, and it's still current now as it was then. And I think it was 2015. Crazy. And I think that's one of the great things about a lot of the designs that we bring you here at Claret. I say we, I don't bring any design. What the designers do is that they stand the test of time, that you can go back again and again, and just using different techniques, you can make them current again. Okay, are we ready to get going? I think I've waffled enough. I've reeled you all in now, and I think now would be a good chance to carry on. Okay, let's have a little looky. So looking at my design now, I've got one more space to fill in. Okay, and when you look at the plate mate from Josie, there's so much on there. But you think, well, how am I going to fill an odd area like that with patterns that are not big enough? See, that's where the beauty of the Groovy system comes in place, because you can move it around to create extensions. They sort of like tessellate, and you can alternate them as well. So I'm just having a look whilst I'm talking to see which sort of design I think would work nice. This particular design is what we used in this area here. And I also used it. Did I use it in that one? No, I used that one, I think. No. Can't remember which one I used for that one. Let's have a look. Let's turn it over. Did I? Yeah, it was that one. I thought it was. Just by changing the angle of it, gives it a different look. So you can go, so it looks squarey, but then when you turn it that way, let me come in on this camera. So when you look at it that way, you've got one effect. Let's do this. It looks like a diamond. Okay. But then when you look over here, it looks like a square. And the only difference is the positioning of the pattern. So that one there, I kept it straight to trace out the design. Did I? Yeah, I went that way, I think. And then, look, there we go. That way I went straight. So it just filled it in exactly how it was on the plate. And then this one, I get it right. Let's have a look. Come on, remind me, how did I do this? There we go. So holding it at an angle gave me a different look. But I reckon, let's have a look. Which one should we go for? So I quite like this pattern here. This is really nice. And I think that would work really well in that area. Let's have a look. See, sometimes it's about getting the balance. Let me come over a little bit so we can see. I will zoom in a moment once I've worked out what I'm doing. Yeah, I reckon that'll work. Okay, should I go for it? Why not? It's only a piece of parchment. So what I'm doing, I'm using the straight line to push into the line of the groove underneath, so that I know it's in a straight position. I'm going to tape it down with some Groovy cards. And what I'll do, I will zoom in now because I've got my piece of paper up, which tells me which direction I need to move in. So I'll come in slowly. There we go. Real slow-mo, that is. And then if I come over into the center, we can see this is the area that we're going to complete our pattern with. Okay, Groovy guard, central piece of equipment. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the number 2 tool and then we're going to press into the dots, just like we did before. See, this is very relaxing as well. So the number 2 tool, now if you hold the tool more upright, let's come on this camera, hold it more upright and give it a little wiggle, you will get a better dot. Okay, because the whole of the ball tool is going into the engraving. But in the whole scheme of things, I'm going to turn this over in a minute and see if you can tell the difference. I'm sure some of our traditional parchers out there will say, yeah, you can definitely see the difference. There we go. And we just go along and add in our design. Now, if you wanted to, look, you can come up with your own pattern. So you could miss out those little bits. Back on the overhead. You could miss out those little bits there. See, so you've got like an outer frame, an inner frame. But let's just keep it nice and easy. Okay. So now when we lift that off, we're starting to build up our design. Okay. Then what we're going to do, we're going to stick with the same pattern, and then we're going to offset it. So that's where it would be if we were to continue with that design in the same format. But now what I'm going to do is create like a checkerboard. And my Groovy tabs are new, so I just need to lift them off while I reposition. Okay, so I reckon, so if you take that row of dots here, if you're going for the same design, this row of dots, the last row of dots, is sitting on this solid line here. Okay, so bring that over, and we're putting it in the empty-ish space. So that one goes there, that one goes there, just down a little. Just take your time. There's no rush, is there? There we go. So hands up who's already completed and filled in all of their design. You go and you had an extra week on me, didn't you? Yeah. I bet you've got all yours all finished, all coloured in. As I said before, you can go back and watch the previous 2 episodes and all of the other episodes as well via our Clarity Stamp YouTube page. There's a vast wealth of tutorials on there, from stamping to stenciling to die cutting to Groovy, gel press, all things crafty. Quick slurp of coffee. Helen's finished hers. Jill's just finishing her coaster from the Make and Takes at the open days. Wasn't they fantastic? So you had Jane doing a lovely heart coaster, and then we had the lovely Lou Withers doing a bit of doodling on parchment. Okay, so just realign this where it needs to be. Groovy tabs in place. And then we carry on with our tessellation. Now what we need to be aware of is this line here. I'm just going to press. This is just a nice hour of chilled out and getting in the groove. And I know from talking to many people on Friday and Saturday, some of you craft along at the same time, some of you just like to watch and listen and then do it afterwards. And you know what? That's the beauty of it, isn't it? That you can do this whenever you want to. You can stop and start at any time. I'm just going to follow it through, and then we're going to get that little row of dots just there. Let's have a look, see what this is looking like. See what this is looking like. Yeah, that's coming together, isn't it? It's amazing just by taking that one row, how the pattern can tessellate to create a bigger area. Oh, Lorraine's being naughty. She's watching while she's working. Oh, I won't tell anyone, Lorraine, if you don't tell anyone. Okay, so let's have a look. So now we're going to carry on over here. Make sure, so I'm back on that line now. So that just needs to move over a little. That's it. Bit warm down here today in Kent. And in this studio here, we don't have any windows. It's sort of like it's soundproof as well. And so it gets very warm. So I've got a fan on underneath the desk. Hopefully you can't hear it, but it's just sort of trying to circulate some air around. So we're going to move along now. Carry on. Okay, line the dots up. I've only got a little bit to do, so I'm not going to worry about sort of taping it down, so to speak. It goes along there. And then the final bit, just for completion, is about there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, got carried away there. Okay, that's an addition to the design. There we go. So that is all the little areas filled in. I like that. What do you think? See, it's a combination, and we've only used a fraction, a tiny amount of the designs. Well, I better zoom out a bit. That's really, woo. Oh, got to stretch up. I don't know if I've got much stretch in me today. There we go. There are so many different patterns on these plates. Somebody I was speaking to at the weekend was buying the starter kit, and they said, like, what other plates do I need? And I said, well, to be honest with you, at this stage, just play with what is in the starter kit. There's plenty to get you going. And to go back and watch last year when we started off with the starter kit, didn't we? We opened it up, we went back to the beginning, the butterfly reef, Do you remember all that beautiful artwork that we created? And we showed how to attach the card. Somebody asked me at the weekend if I could show how we attach parchment to the card. And I said I'd probably do it over the next couple of weeks, maybe when we finish this piece, to show a couple of different options. But I know we have covered it in the past by using the punches, we used apertures, we used the wraparound technique, we used brads, we used glue. So don't forget, all those little bits and pieces are all available on the YouTube page. So, but we will cover it again over the coming weeks as well. Maybe new people, maybe not sure how to look back and find them. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, I think that's really nice. And it's not that far off from what Linda's created. See, Linda used a couple of different designs. See, but that's the beauty of it. Linda gives us a suggestion on what we can do, and then we can adapt it to what we want to do. Can't we? Let me bring this plate in here so we can really see, because I know the white can sometimes get lost on the lighter areas. Now I wonder whether Linda chose her backing papers first before choosing her colour. I reckon she did. Oh yeah, I've just seen from Jane the tutorial that's on the Clarity Matters blog from Sunday that Jane did just uses the plates from the starter kit. So if you have got the starter kit, then say check out the Clarity Matters blog, because that's all that Jane used to create her beautiful Father's Day card. Really, really nice. So yeah, that's thanks for that reminder, Jane. Sunday is just a blur at the moment, but yeah. See, it's great having the design team in the room. You've got all the experts in the room, so if I miss a question, they're there to help and answer and to give little prompts and everything else. There we go. Stuart's popped the link up as well, so you can check that out. Okay, how are we all doing? Oh dear. I think I'm starting to melt now, even though the fan is on. Barb said to me yesterday when she was wearing shorts, "What are you wearing shorts tomorrow?" I said, "Oh, I can't think about tomorrow until tomorrow." But I didn't think about today. So maybe I'll dig out my shorts this evening, because I think it's meant to get warmer down here towards the end of the week. But there you go. Don't need air conditioning. Right, okay, so let's have a look at the project from Linda. So we've created our frame, we've created our sections, we've infilled with the various different designs. We've now added in our pattern and our design. So what we can do now is we can add just a little bit of white work into some of the areas. And what Linda's done, she's done some white work on the reeds, she's done it on the windows of the lighthouse, on the flags of the little boat, and then a little bit there just on the fence to show as if the light is coming in from the side. Okay. Now, if you're new to white work and you're not sure how it goes, or you're still worried about putting too much pressure on, then just take, because you've got the plate, take the design and trace it out onto a spare piece of parchment and practice to see what it looks like. Okay. So, for example, I could take, see, this was my practice one when I was trying to work out my composition a couple of weeks back. So I could use, I mean, it still works, just that I wasn't happy with that particular line there. But I've got some little windows here. I've got the little flags here. So maybe if I trace out, let's have a look. If I trace out, where's my, I'll bring in this plate, mate. let's trace out the little reeds so we can have a practice on those as well. So I'll put a little, let's put them in this little corner here. Okay. Sometimes it's good to practice first before you go into your finished piece, if you're not so sure what to do or how it will look. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the number 1 tool and we'll trace out the stems of the reeds. Okay. So this is the beauty of the Groovy system, being able to quickly trace out the design so that we can practice. Don't you agree? And then I'm going to swap over now to the number 2 tool and trace out the outer part of the reeds to give me a softer line. And back to the number 1 to put the little tips on. There we go. So then, should we do a little bit of the fence as well? Let's put the fence down here. There we go. Line that up. And for the fence, I'm just going to use the number 1 tool just to trace that out. So this is going to be my practice piece. Okay. And you could keep this practice piece in a folder to see. You could write some little notes on there. Oh, I did this way. I used this particular tool here. You sort of build up a little sort of catalogue or library of design. And when you go back and you have a look, oh, I can't remember how I did that. What did I use? How did I get a really nice sort of effect? There we go. That'll do. Rightio. Okay. Groovy tabs to one side. Plate to one side. Now we'll take the black mat that comes in the starter kit and we're going to turn it over so we're working on the spongy side. We're still working on the back of our parchment. Now, if you are worried about being a little heavy-handed, then all of our Groovy plates come in poly bags. Okay. So let me just take a pair of scissors and just snip this up. So what you do, just take your poly bag. Single layer is fine. You don't need it to be double layer. And we'll just cut that up so we've got a nice piece of cello. There we go. Nice and easy. Pop that in the bin. And what that will do, it will act as a resist on the mat if you're worried about going too heavy. So let's have a look at the different areas that we're going to concentrate on. Okay, let's just zoom in a little bit closer for this. So we're going to go in, so we're going to come this way. Easy does it. Wait, that's really close. I bet my fingers look like big fat sausages now. When I was on TV the other day, I don't know what happened with the overhead camera, but I did catch sight of it and I didn't say anything. And a lady came to the open day and said, "Are your hands okay now?" I said, "Yeah, they're okay." On one of the shots, yeah, on one of the overhead shots, I don't know what happened with the lighting, but my hands looked bright red as if I just dipped them into a bowl of boiling water. I hadn't, but that's what it looked like. Okay, so I'm going to go with the number 3 tool and we're going to take the Groovy guard and we're just going to concentrate on the reeds. See, this is another great thing about the Groovy guard is that it can focus an area in which you're working. Now, when I place this over the top, you may think, oh, it looks a little bit too big. But actually, the number 3 tool from the Groovy system is perfect for this area. Now, all I'm going to do is just gently go up and down on the design. Okay. So, up and down. And I'm not putting too much pressure on. Up and down. Just gently does it. This is a nice one just for practicing on as well. Because we've used the number 2 tool already, we've already got that soft outline to the design. I mean, on the back at the moment, it looks as if it's all the same gradient of white. But in a moment, when we turn it over, we'll see that there is definitely a difference. Okay, should we turn it over? Should we go for the reveal? There we go. Can you see that? Almost there. It needs to be a little bit more whiter. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to live dangerously. I'm going to go with the number 2 tool in the starter kit. Go onto the back again. And just gently tease that parchment. Now, ideally, what you would do one level of white work over all of your piece of art before going back in to do the second one. Okay, so if we come over here, I'm going to stick with the number 2 tool. And now we're going to have a look at filling in the little windows. And I'm just going backwards and forwards, gentle pressure. I mean, when I do this and I turn it over, and I may think, "Ooh, I'm not happy with that," but it doesn't matter, does it? Because this is our practice piece. I mean, this could end up as a masterpiece. Question from Artie Frog: is the Groovy Club open to people in the USA? It sure is. If Stuart pops the link up, it'll explain all about sort of international and overseas club members as well. Yeah, definitely. It's open to everybody. So, because we have the lovely Grace, who runs our New York office, what we do is we send all of the monthly installments to Grace, and then she distributes them within the USA. And I think we've done it twice now, and it works really, really well. So it means we collate all the our US friends club subscriptions together. We pop it in one big box. We send it to Grace, which is a lot quicker. So it goes in one big box to Grace, and then Grace circulates it throughout the USA. So absolutely. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so we've got the little windows in place. Should we have a look at the flag now? Now, when we have a look at what Linda's done on this piece, what Linda's done, she's sort of created some beautiful white work just coming in from the edge, just to give that little tip of whiteness. Okay, so just a tiny little bit. So I'm now going to go back to my number 3 tool. So pop that to one side. And I'm going to go that way because I'm going to come towards me. So I'm going to go onto the line, and I'm just going to sweep in slightly. And what I'm doing, do you remember when Linda's been showing us white work in the past, where we do the beautiful shadow embossing? If I come in on this camera, what you do, actually, let me do it on the overhead camera, this might work. So my finger is a piece of parchment, okay? So what you do, as you go along your parchment, you lift off. It's like an aeroplane taking off, or like striking a match. So what you do, as you lift away, you then get a softer look. So on the downward position, on the downward position, what you're doing is you're then lifting. So the tool never touches the end of my finger. Okay. And what that does, it gives you that beautiful, soft, gradual whiteness to the tips. And Linda covered this when we was working with the frosted floral overlays. Yeah. So I'm going to turn this round, and then I'm going to come in, because we don't want to have the flag completely white. Okay. We just want a gentle bit of whiteness. And it's the same principle. So let's have a look when we turn this over now. So you can see how it's just, I mean, it looks really dodge because I'm up really, really close. And it's the first layer. Okay. But from where I'm looking, I mean, I'm looking at the screen in front of me and it's really magnified. But when I'm looking without my glasses on, it looks lovely. It really does. Honest, it does. I'm happy with that. But it does need a little bit more work to it. And that is the beauty of the white work, is that you sort of let it rest and then you go back in and then you add to it. So let's have a look at the fence. Let's add a little bit of whiteness to the fence as well. Okay, so we can just, I'm going to stick with I'm just going to come down and I just want to do like one layer. Don't really want to put too much on. It's just a gentle hue of white or grey work. Okay. Gently does it. That's it. I'm not going to do any more white work on that fence, on those fence posts at all. It's just to break the fibres up a little bit. Okay. So then we'll turn that over and we can start to sort of see it coming together. So now I've let that rest for a little bit. So I'm going to go back in again now with my number 2 tool. Now, if you find that you're still struggling with the pressure in order to get some nice white work, then you may want to look at the Pergamano pink mat. If I was prepping for TV or I was doing TV, I would normally go for the pink mat. But we're just looking at really what comes in the sort of the starter kit. And it's something that you can add to later on. Okay, so now we're just going to make that a little whiter. But you do need to be very gentle because it is such a small area. I mean, I've got a bit of a safety net with the cello bag underneath. Let's turn it over now. Yeah, they're really starting to become white now, aren't they? And obviously I'm on black behind it as well. If I was to take a piece of designer paper or parchment, let me see if I could. Oh yeah, don't forget the designer parchment. Yesterday, Bob, half price while she's working in the shack with the ammonites. Let's take a piece of shell and shell. Oh, that's really close. I will zoom out in a minute. Let me just find a piece. Let's just have a look. I just really want to show off. There we go. We can see the difference now, can't we? Right, if you put pink behind it, let's go. You can definitely see the difference in the whiteness now. Well, that bit's no good, is it? This, yeah, you can definitely see that. Black will always be quite harsh behind clear parchment. I mean, imagine doing this on the designer parchment as well. I mean, you'd get a totally different look to it as well. So we've added a little bit more white work to the reeds. So now we're going to add some more to the lighthouse windows. And I'm sticking with the number 2 tool. See, tiny little areas like this is a good way of practicing. You just go in and just give it a little wiggle, so to speak. Then should we come back and have a look at our flags now? Because I don't want to put any more on the fence. So I'm going to stick with the number 2. Don't forget, this is my practice piece as well. So if I did happen to go for it for whatever reason, then I haven't ruined what I've been working on. And in a way, sometimes, I mean, I know Linda has often said it when she's doing white work. She never goes in cold. She will always sort of have a warm up first. So she'll test the pressure, because sometimes we can be a little bit more heavy handed one day than we can the other. So sometimes it's always good just to have, it's just like a warm up exercise. The same when I go to do picot cutting, 9 times out of 10, I will practice before I go into my finished piece. Just to get my eye in, my hand as well, really, just to get the rhythm going. I suppose it's sort of back in the day. Some people remember this. I'm showing my age now. Back in the day when you had to pull the choke out to start the car up, to warm it up, you had to let it run for a bit before you had a really nice journey. Otherwise you'd be chugging because the engine wasn't warm enough. I'm really showing my age now, aren't I? Gosh. So what I'm saying is that if you warm up first, you're likely to get a better result. The same as if you warm the car up first, you're likely to get a better result in your journey. Back in the day, that is. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I suppose it's just another way of explaining it, isn't it? So just a little bit more on there. I reckon I can get away with another little bit of white work just on those reeds. Gently does it. There we go. So now, once you're happy with your white work, then you can transfer it to your finished piece. Okay, so let's have a look at what Linda's done as a comparison. So we've got the white in the windows. Can't see that, but let's bring that over a little bit. So you've got the white work. Look, there we go. You can see the white more on this backing paper. Okay, so we've got white in the windows. Then when we look at the reeds, let's see if I can, we've got the reeds here and here. Mine are a little whiter than Linda's, probably because I kept going. Then when we look at the flags, okay, we've got the whiteness there, and then we've got the whiteness there. Next week, what we're going to do, we're going to introduce some colour to it. So we'll do the white work in the areas we need it to be. Then next week, we will introduce some colours. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the Perga colour pens and a mix map, which we've done in the past, how it can change the look of the pens themselves. So you can go from really vibrant to a soft, more movable colour feast. What's that? What black? I'm using the reverse of the black matte pat. I'm using the soft side to do my white work. Okay. So yeah, so that's what we'll do next week. So what have we got coming up for the rest of this week? So Barb's back in the shack on Thursday at 10 o'clock with the beautiful ammonite designs. or what was the snail's name? I can't think of what the snail's name was now from the Magic Roundabout. Was it Barney? I don't think it was it? No. So anyway, Barb's back in the Shack on Thursday at 10 o'clock with the Ammonites, the beautiful designer parchment. The lovely Tina Cox will be on Create and Craft. Brian, thank you. I could hear all these voices shouting, Brian. The lovely Tina Cox will be back on Create and Craft on Saturday, 2 p.m. on Craft Extra and 5 p.m. on the normal channel. Then after that, we've obviously got the Clarity Matters blog on Sunday from the design team. And then Barbara back on Monday in the Shack. I'll be back again on the Tuesday. So that's sort of really rolling into next week now. The half price highlight product of the week, II books, fantastic, half price. If you're looking for some ideas and inspiration, we've got books from Tina, Linda, Jane Nesterenko, Barbara, beautiful. Even if you just buy the books and you haven't got the plates, look at the ideas that are in there and look at the plates you've already got in your stash. It's just like a mini little library of beautiful, exquisite artwork. What else have we got? So that's the half price designer parchment again. Bonus. And once you've got it at half price, you're not worried about using it so much, then are you? So I hope you've enjoyed today. I think I've covered what I wanted to cover today anyway. And then next week, as I say, we'll finish off that white work and then we'll start to introduce some colour. So thank you once again for joining me. I'll be in the room with Barb on Thursday for the Shack. But until then, I will see you next week. Take care. Enjoy the weather if you've got lovely weather. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.